Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy the story. Remember to like and subscribe. And now the story.
In the tranquil corners of serenity, where the whispers of time seemed to linger longer than in other places, dwelled a girl named Alara. She was no ordinary girl. She possessed a gift that danced with the fabric of existence itself, the power to bend time to her will. From the earliest memories of her childhood, Alara knew she was different. While other children played tag or skipped stones across the river, she discovered the tendrils of time weaving through her fingertips. With a mere thought, she could slow the rush of seconds into a languid crawl, or send them sprinting forward in a blur. Curiosity fueled her exploration of this newfound ability. Alara delved into the annals of history, watching the rise and fall of empires from the sidelines. She glimpsed futures yet to unfold, weaving through the tapestry of time with an insatiable thirst for knowledge. Yet, with each ripple she made in the river of time, she learned a sobering truth: every action had its consequence. It was on a day much like any other that Alara's innocence collided with the harsh reality of cause and effect. A bird, its plumage a vivid streak against the azure sky, caught her eye as it darted through the branches. Without hesitation, she reached into the river of time, plucking the bird from the path of a hunter's arrow. Returning to the present, Alara's heart sank as she beheld the unintended chaos that her act of kindness had wrought. The absence of the bird had upset the delicate balance of nature, unleashing a plague of pests upon the town. The repercussions of her actions echoed through the streets, a stark reminder of the fragility of time's tapestry. Desperate to right her wrongs, Alara ventured once more into the past, this time allowing fate to take its course. Yet, as the arrow found its mark, so too did tragedy strike. The startled hunter's grip faltered, sending the arrow careening off its intended path and piercing the heart of an unsuspecting passerby. Guilt gnawed at Alara's soul, a relentless tide threatening to consume her. With a heavy heart, she vowed to forsake her power, to retreat from the delicate dance of time before she caused irreparable harm. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. As whispers of Alara's peculiar abilities spread through the town like wildfire, fear took root in the hearts of its inhabitants. They regarded her with suspicion, eyes brimming with mistrust as they whispered of curses and calamities. For Alara, the weight of their gaze was a burden too heavy to bear. In the stillness of the night, with the moon casting its silvery glow upon the world, Alara made her decision. She would leave serenity, seeking solace in the anonymity of distant horizons. Yet, with each step she took, the shadows of her past followed close behind. Wherever she wandered, Alara remained a prisoner of her own power, haunted by the echoes of the past and the specter of what could have been. Though she yearned for redemption, she knew that some wounds could never fully heal. She was a girl out of time, forever ensnared in the delicate web of cause and effect. With each passing day, Alara carried the weight of her actions upon her shoulders, a silent reminder of the price one must pay for tampering with the threads of destiny. In the end, she found solace not in the mastery of time, but in the acceptance of its immutable flow, a river that would forever carry her onward, a traveler lost amidst the currents of eternity.
Zane stood at the helm of his spaceship, his gaze fixed on the endless tapestry of stars that stretched out before him. The familiar hum of the engines surrounded him, a comforting presence on most days. But today, it seemed to blend with the tumultuous whirlwind of emotions swirling within him, creating a cacophony of uncertainty and doubt. For years, Zane had walked a delicate tightrope, navigating the intricate dance of a double life. On one hand, he lived among humans, seamlessly blending in with their society as a respected member of the Interstellar Survey Corps. On the other hand, he harbored a secret allegiance to his alien overlords, carrying out clandestine missions to prepare Earth for an impending invasion. He had been chosen for this mission because of his exceptional skills as a pilot and a spy. He had undergone extensive genetic modification, cybernetic enhancement, and mental conditioning to pass as a human. He had studied their culture, their history, their language, and their behavior. He had learned to mimic their emotions, their expressions, their mannerisms. He had become one of them, or so he thought. Amidst the tapestry of his carefully constructed facade, an unexpected thread emerged, a thread of emotion, woven from the depths of his being. For Zane had begun to feel, deeply and profoundly, in a way he had never imagined possible. These feelings were not merely fleeting whims, but a tidal wave of emotion that threatened to engulf him entirely. They were feelings of affection, of camaraderie, of a bond forged in the crucible of shared experiences. Yet, with each beat of his heart, they clashed violently against the rigid walls of his loyalty, tearing at the very fabric of his existence. The beauty of Earth, once a distant marvel, now enveloped him in its embrace, a symphony of color, of life, of infinite possibility. He marveled at the kaleidoscope of cultures that flourished upon its surface, each one a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. In the laughter of his friends, he found solace, a respite from the relentless march of duty that consumed his days. Their joy became his own, a beacon of light amidst the darkness that threatened to engulf him. And in moments of sorrow, of loss, he felt their pain as keenly as his own, a stark reminder of the fragile nature of existence. But with each passing day, Zane found himself growing increasingly attached to his human guise, to the life he had forged among them, the friendships he had nurtured, the identity he had assumed. He had become one of them, in heart if not in flesh, bound by ties that transcended the boundaries of race and species alike. Yet, beneath the facade of humanity, a seed of doubt began to take root, a gnawing uncertainty that whispered of betrayal, of deceit, of a destiny that stood in stark opposition to his newfound sense of belonging. For Zane knew that as long as he remained tethered to his human life, he could never fully embrace the truth of his identity, nor the purpose for which he had been sent to Earth. His heart was a battleground, torn asunder by the ceaseless conflict between duty and desire, between the weight of his past and the pull of his present, between the demands of his race and the yearnings of his heart. Each decision weighed heavily upon him, a burden too great to bear alone. For he knew that the choice he faced would not only shape his own destiny, but also the fate of two worlds, Earth, the fragile jewel he had come to call home, and Zorax, the distant planet that lay in wait, poised for conquest. Time, that relentless arbiter of fate, marched inexorably forward, heedless of his inner turmoil. He could feel its relentless advance, a countdown to the inevitable clash that loomed on the horizon. The invasion drew nearer with each passing moment, its shadow looming large over the fragile peace he had fought so hard to preserve. And as the final hour approached, Zane knew that he could delay his decision no longer. The time for hesitation was at an end. For better or for worse, the die had been cast. And as the fate of two worlds hung in the balance, Zane braced himself for the choice that would determine the course of history, for himself, for his comrades, and for the countless lives that hung in the balance. The signal had arrived, a cryptic transmission from his distant home, Zorax, a world steeped in conquest and ambition. It bore a single word, a trigger that set in motion the final act of his clandestine mission. His orders were clear: sabotage the Interstellar Survey Corps, dismantle their defenses, and lay bare their most closely guarded secrets. It was a directive that heralded the impending arrival of the Zoraxian fleet, poised to descend upon Earth like a ravenous predator closing in on its prey. With meticulous precision, he had committed every detail of the plan to memory, the targets, the timing, the contingency measures. He had drilled relentlessly, preparing himself for the inevitable clash that lay ahead. He had steeled his resolve for the act of betrayal that would rend the bonds of friendship and loyalty that bound him to his comrades. But as he stood among his fellow pilots, gathered around the glowing holographic display of their next mission, a tumult of emotions threatened to overwhelm him. They were more than just colleagues, they were his confidants, his comrades in arms, his family. Together, they had weathered countless trials and tribulations, sharing in both the triumphs and the tragedies that had marked their journey through the stars. They trusted him with their lives, just as he trusted them with his own. And in that moment, as he gazed upon their faces, illuminated by the soft glow of the holographic map, he felt the weight of his impending betrayal bearing down upon him like a leaden shroud. Doubt gnawed at the edges of his resolve, guilt tugged at the corners of his conscience, and regret coiled like a serpent within his heart. For they were more than just his comrades, they were his friends. And as he stood on the precipice of treachery, he knew that the choice he was about to make would irrevocably alter the course of their lives, and his own, forever. How could he face them after what he was about to do? How could he bring himself to hurt them, to deceive them, to shatter the bonds of trust and friendship that they had painstakingly built together? His gaze drifted to Lyra, his steadfast companion, his confidant, his guiding light in the darkness. She had been his anchor, his rock, the one who had shown him what it truly meant to be human, to embrace his flaws, to wear his heart on his sleeve, to find solace in the warmth of connection and understanding. Lyra held a special place in his heart, a place reserved for those who saw him for who he truly was and accepted him without reservation. How could he betray her trust, inflict such pain upon her gentle soul? How could he bear the thought of breaking her spirit, of leaving her behind in the aftermath of his betrayal? The weight of his impending actions bore down upon him like a leaden weight, threatening to crush him beneath its unforgiving burden. He longed to defy the cruel hand of fate, to remain by Lyra's side, to bask in the radiance of her unwavering love and companionship for all eternity. But alas, the die had been cast, and he was but a pawn in the grand game of destiny. As the fateful moment drew near, he could only steel himself for the heart-wrenching choice that lay ahead, knowing full well that the consequences of his actions would reverberate through the very fabric of their shared existence, leaving behind a trail of shattered dreams and broken hearts in their wake. Yet, despite the yearnings of his heart, he knew he couldn't stray from the path laid out before him. He was different from them, fundamentally so. An alien in their midst, a silent observer concealing a treacherous truth. The very people who had welcomed him with open arms remained oblivious to the shadow he cast, a spy, a traitor, lurking in their midst. With every fiber of his being screaming for a different destiny, he steeled himself against the storm of conflicting emotions raging within. He clung to the solemn oath he had sworn, a vow etched in stone, binding him to a duty that brooked no compromise. Though his heart bled for a freedom that eluded him, duty demanded his unwavering allegiance, for the greater good, for the honor of his people, for the very survival of his kind. With resolve forged in the crucible of sacrifice, he drew a deep breath and activated the signal that would unleash the tempest of his fate. But as the gears of destiny began to turn, doubts clawed at the edges of his consciousness, whispering of unforeseen consequences and hidden truths yet to be revealed. In the tumult of uncertainty, he braced himself for the unknown, steeling his heart for the trials that lay ahead, uncertain of what fate had in store. As he turned to face his comrades, their smiles and laughter ringing in his ears, a wave of remorse washed over him. In their eyes, he saw reflections of his own conflicted soul, a mixture of sorrow, regret, and an unspoken farewell. He wasn't ready to bid them farewell, to embrace the darkness that awaited him beyond the stars. He wasn't ready to confront the inevitable truth, that this mission was a one-way ticket to oblivion. Whether by the hands of his friends, his foes, or his own, he knew that death awaited him at journey's end. Yet, despite the harrowing uncertainty that lay ahead, he refused to surrender to despair. For in the depths of his heart, a flicker of hope still burned, a hope that, against all odds, whispered of redemption, of salvation, of a new beginning. And with that beacon to guide him, he stepped boldly into the unknown, ready to face whatever destiny had in store. The past was an immutable force, its grip unyielding and unforgiving. No matter how fervently he wished to turn back the hands of time, to undo the irreversible, the sands of fate continued to slip through his fingers. He had made his bed, and now he lay in it, shackled by the consequences of his decisions. His gaze fell upon Lyra, his silent confidant, his beacon of light in the darkness. In her eyes, he saw a reflection of his own turmoil, a kaleidoscope of pain, regret, and an unspoken love that hung heavy in the air between them. Oh, how he longed to bare his soul to her, to lay bare the truth that festered within him, to seek solace in her embrace. But the weight of duty, of allegiance, of self-preservation, held his tongue captive. And so, with a heavy heart and a forced smile, he uttered the words that sealed his fate, a final farewell veiled in falsehood, a parting gift of deceit. For in that moment, he chose the path of deception, of solitude, of exile, a solitary journey into the unknown, where the echoes of his untold truths would reverberate in the hollow chambers of his soul for eternity.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.